Hey guys, it's Miss Richardson here. Today we're going to talk about exponents. So anytime you have exponents, you have a large number, which is called the base, and then the small number that is to the upper right-hand corner of the base, that is called your exponent, or you can also say your power. Same thing. This is the standard we're working on, and these are our learning targets. All right, so like I said, an exponential number is composed of two parts. The first component is the base, which carries the exponent. The exponent is the second component, which sits on the base's upper right-hand corner. All right, so if you will open your lunch point and go to BrainPop, then you can click on this video and watch Tim and Moby. You'll love it. So what do exponents do? Well, they represent repeated multiplication. So exponents tell us how many times to repeat the multiplication. So you can pronounce, the way you pronounce this is 4 to the second power. You could say 4 raised to the power of 2. And anytime it's a 2, you can say the word squared. So all three of those ways to say this is appropriate. So 4 squared, 4 raised to the power of 2, or 4 to the second power. But it means the base number repeated twice. So 4 times 4. Here we have the variable x. So x squared, or x raised to the power of 2, or x to the second power, means x times x. The third one, we have a base of 5 raised to the 5th power. So you would multiply 5 together 5 times. Now, exponents have large numbers very quickly. So if you multiply 2 together 16 times, that is a huge answer because you're multiplying. You're not adding to, adding to, adding to. You keep multiplying, multiplying, multiplying by 2. All right, so these numbers are written in exponential form, so we're going to write them in expanded form. So if I can get my pen going here. Oh, I don't even have it plugged up, you guys. Hold on, I'm so sorry. All right, so 8 squared, what does that mean? It literally means 8 times 8. 8 times 8. All right, c to the power of 3, or t, did I say c? T to the third power means t times t times t. 15 squared, or 15 raised to the second power, I would write 15 times 15. And then 20 to the fourth power would be 20 times 20 times 20 times 20. So that's a big number. All right, does that make sense? So here we go. Exponents, once again, represent repeated multiplication. So now we're going to take a problem written in expanded form, and we're going to write it in exponential form. For example, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, we would write 3 to the fourth power. 7 multiplied together 5 times. In exponential form, we would write 7 raised to the power of 5. And then here we have variables. So we have 4 x's being multiplied, which we would write x to the fourth power times, there's 2 y's here, so we would say x to the fourth times y squared. And all of this represents multiplication. All right, so let's do the opposite now. We're going to take our expanded form and we're going to write it in exponential form. So go ahead and pause the video and do it yourself first. All right, so did you guys write 4 to the third power? Oh, and then the exponent of a 2, if you have an exponent of a 2, you can say squared. Oops, I spelled it wrong. S-Q-U-A-R-E-D. And then if you have an exponent of 3, you can say the word cubed. So you could either say this 4 to the third power, or you could just say 4 cubed. The second one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We would write 1 to the power of 6. The third one, we have 4 12s being multiplied, so 12 to the fourth power. And the last one, we multiply together 100 twice, so I would say 100 squared. Oh, and here it's written right here too. All right, so I want you guys to turn off your camera and I want you all to write these in exponential form. All right, so did you write k to the 6th power here? Did you write 3 to the 4th power? Now, if I have two numbers, I am going to go ahead and use that dot for multiplication times 5 squared. And then with variables, you don't really need the dot. It's never going to make it wrong if you use the dot to show multiplication. And of course, this is z to the power of 1. Anytime you have an exponent of 1, you don't really have to write it. But since that's the directions, I went ahead and wrote the exponent of 1. All right, so I have two g's. So I'm going to write g squared. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 y's. So we're going to write y to the 11th power. Here we have 2 to the 5th power. This would be 8 to the 1st power. And then here we have 4 cubed times j to the 1st power times k squared times m to the 4th power. Did you guys get them all right? All right, and then we would do the opposite. So I'm not going to take the time to do this, but I think you guys got it. We would write out 6 t's. So t multiplied together 6 times. Here we would write c times c times c. We would write 9 times 9 times 9 times 5 a's, 2 b's, and 1 c, so on and so forth. All right, I think everyone understands. If you need more help on that, please let me know. But you guys are smart cookies. I think you got it. All right, so now we can actually evaluate these exponents. So the first one here says, what is 3 cubed? In other words, what is 3 times 3 times 3? Well, 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27. So 3 cubed is equal to 27. Yep. All right, what about 8 squared? 8 squared means 8 times 8, so 8 squared is 64. All right, now if you do have one of these calculators, you are going to be using the exponent buttons. I don't know that you guys have these yet. You'll definitely get these. I encourage all of you to have one of these for middle school at least. But most calculators, if it's a scientific calculator, it has an exponent button. I would prefer you guys not to use the exponent on these, but I did want to show you those exponent buttons. So if you want to simplify 6 squared, you would type in a 6. Then you're going to hit this button that says x to the 2nd power. And then when you hit enter, right down here, it's going to tell you 6 squared is 36. Now, if you have an exponent other than a 2, so for example, this one says 4 raised to the 5th power, you're going to use this button right here on this calculator. It's above the x squared button. This is actually called a caret button. And on your keyboard, it's right above the number 6. If you hit the shift key, and you can type the caret button. So if you're trying to ever type on your keyboard, you're trying to type exponents. If you wanted to show 4 to the 5th power, you would literally type it like that. And that's what that means, 4 raised to the 5th power. But anyway, if you have a calculator like this, type in 4, type in the caret button, type in 5, and then hit enter, and it will tell you the answer is 1024. Okay, so depending on what calculator you have, there's those directions. And then, of course, if you have a regular, regular add, subtract, multiply, divide calculator, you could literally type in it 4 times 4 times 4 for this one, first one. You don't need a caret button or an exponent button. So 4 to the 3rd power. 4 to the 3rd power is 64. You guys do these, please, and then come back and check your answers. All right, the next one, 15 squared. 15 squared is 225. 5 to the 4th power is 625. And 9 times 9 times 9 is 729. I bet y'all got those right. All right, so do you guys know what 2 to the 5th power is? Give it a try. The answer is 32. What about 7 squared? 7 squared is 49. What about 10 to the 3rd power? Now, I like tens with exponents because the exponent literally tells you how many zeros are in your answer. So 10 to the 3rd power has 3 zeros. 10 to the 1st power has how many zeros? 1. 10 to the 2nd power has how many zeros? 2. So on and so forth. So if I said 10 to the 6th power, you have a 1 followed by 6 zeros. There we go. A million. 10 to the 6th power is 1 million. All right, so that takes us to finding the area of squares and the volume of prisms. So remember when I said 5 squared or any number times itself? Well, if you have a square and it's asking you to find the area, you're literally going to multiply the two side lengths together. So S times S is the same thing as S squared. So when you square a number, you're literally finding the area of a square with those side lengths. All right, here we have S squared. That's 8 by 8. So if I wanted to know what the area is, I would square 8. 8 times 8 is 64. So the area of a square with side lengths of 8 is 64. All right, moving on to cubes. Finding the volume of a cube, you would multiply the side lengths, all 3 side lengths together because it's a cube is 3-dimensional, so you're going to multiply together 3 numbers. So you can come back and watch this video. So a cube with each side length of S, to find the volume, you would multiply S times S times S, which is the same thing as saying S cubed. All right, if you have a cube, each side is 8 centimeters, and I asked you, what is the volume of a cube? You are going to say, what is 8 times 8 times 8? In other words, 8 cubed, and you would get 512. All right, so I want you guys to pause the video, and I want you to find the area of the 2-dimensional figures, which are squares, and the volume of 3-dimensional figures, which are prisms. All right, 5 times 5, or 5 squared, is 25. 4 squared, I'm sorry, yeah, 4 squared would be 16 meters squared. This one actually would be 25 inches squared because inches times inches is inches squared. All right, 2.5 cubed is 15.625, 15.625 feet cubed. What would this cube be? 5 times 5 times 5 is 125 inches cubed. Here we have 7 raised to the power of 3 is 343 centimeters cubed. 2 times 2 times 2, well, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8 millimeters cubed. And then we have 1.5 squared is 2.25 centimeters squared. All right, guys. Not too difficult, right? Well, there we go. There's the answers. All righty. So answer these questions. You have access to my slide deck. So go through these, see if you can answer each of these questions that are asked. And that's it for today. Tomorrow you'll have some questions over problems just like the ones we just went over. All right, guys, have a great day, and I will catch you guys later.